Hello and welcome to the class. So, this is my first live class that I'm taking on Python, and I'm just going to give a pretty good introduction about Python. Like, many of you might be there who wants to learn Python or who has done a few classes on Python, or maybe Python is in your school course, Python is in your college. So, whatever it is, you can keep watching my videos and you would be learning a lot, right? So, I'll be sharing my screen. Yes. So, yes, I'm in. Now, if you look at the screen, this is where going to write the Python codes. Okay. So, since this is my first class on Python, so I'm going to start from the very basics of Python, assuming that anybody who doesn't know anything about Python can still learn something, at least something from this video. Okay. So, the platform that I'm using is called as Google Colab. The link to Google Colab is simple. It's just collab.research.google.com. So this is the link, https collab.research.google.com. So this is a platform provided by Google where we can write Python codes. This is a cloud based platform. That means, like, if you write your codes over here, you can access it from anywhere, anytime. You can share it. You can allow others to collab with you in the codes. Okay. So let me start with the code. Right. So here, see, we get two things in Google Colab. One is the code block, one is the text block. You can use the code block to write anything related to a code. Like, it could be like taking the running notes. Okay. So the first code that we would be doing is Python data types and variables. Okay. I'm going to start with the text block, and this one where you see the play icon. Remember, this is the code block, right? Like, where we can put the codes. So, see, the first code that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very simple code, assuming somebody doesn't know anything about Python. So, what we can do is let's say we have to do a simple task, like, let's say we just have to calculate a few values. Maybe your mother has asked you to purchase a few items, right? So maybe your mother has provided you with a grocery list. So here I'm going to write, maybe your mother asked you to buy milk, tea, biscuits, what else, some bread. Okay, so let's think that your mother has asked you to buy these items, right? So maybe there is some price associated with these items, and there is some quantity. Like, maybe she asked you to buy 2 packets of milk. She asked you to buy 1 kg of tea. Let's assume it in packets. So 1 packet of tea, biscuits maybe 2 packets, and bread maybe two. So let's say this is the quantity. So what we are going to do is we are going to store them in variables. Like, let's say item one. What is item one? Item one is milk. What is item two? Item two is tea. What is item three? Item three is biscuits. And item four is it bread? I'm kind of confused. Yes, it's bread. Because the things didn't go in the next line, I was bit confused. But see, if I write the name of the items in this way, it really doesn't. It kind of shows me some error. So here what I can do is I'll just put them enclosed in double quotes. Now you see the underline that was coming has gone. Also, if you move the mouse point over here, it says like biscuits is not defined or bread is not defined. So why does it show that it's not defined? And when I put the double quotes, the error and all is gone. So why is it like that? It's just because the values over here belongs to a particular data type, like when I write anything after the double quotes, it becomes the value. And what I have written before the double quotes, although I have written item one, there's no error over there. But this side, it's an error. So why is it so? It's because this one refers to the name of the variable. Let it be for item 1, item 2, item 3, or item 4. So, all of it, these are just names of variables. And the things that I've written on the right side, these are the values associated with it. So, values, when we are writing values, if it is a word, if it's a text like it contains abcd, it's a word. So you just can't write them in a general way, you just can't write them. You need to write them inside double quotes, just like that. That's how Python has set it to be, either double quotes or you can go for single quotes. Both works. See the error removed, even if I give a single quotes or a double quote. So either of the two you can use, it works fine. So we can summarize up to this, that here I'll write it in a text block, that item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 4 are all variables, right? Are all variables that hold the names of items, or we can say the values, right? So some kind of value, or better we don't say value, or we say data. So it contains some data. So item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, these are all variables, and the items, uh like the name of the items is the data over here. So what else can we summarize from this? let me put Let me make them in points. I mean, okay, this is not letting me put the points. I'll delete this. I just wanted to make this a point. I think it doesn't work over here. Anyways, so that's it. Moving to the next thing is like variable names can be written in any form, but data, if text, should be enclosed within double or single quotes, right? So variable names can be written in any form, but data, if text, should be enclosed within double or single quotes. So that's it. But I've written something over here, which I've written variables can be written in any form. But how much true is this sentence? Let us test that. Okay, in the next code block. So what if I write first item equals to mouse? So now I'm going to write the accessory names, computer accessory names. Second item equals to webcam. So now, as you can see, my variable names are showing error. Now, why is it so? Statements must be separated by new lines or semicolons. So some form of error is coming. But why is it so? Because we already saw that here variable names are written. I mean, item 1, item 2, item 3 actually works, but here we have given the double quotes, so no more errors. But here I'm giving double quotes for the values, like for the data, but for the variable names, now it's going to show me error. Now, this is a new kind of problem. So, what could be the solution to this? What do you think could be the solution to this problem? Just take a while to think. I'll give you I'll give you 10 seconds to think. So think for a while. Okay. So now I'm going to introduce you to a new concept which is called as the Python variable naming convention. So, naming convention means what? Naming convention in Python simply means the rules or the guidelines for naming the variables. So, this line gave us with error because of Python variable naming convention. Python variable naming convention, right? So, what is the naming convention? And what is the rules that we should follow? So, first rule number 1 is numbers can't be given in the beginning. So, that's the first rule that you have to remember, that variable names should begin with alphabets or underscore. So, underscore is one of the character that we can begin with, like this. Now, see, the error is gone. So, what did I say? Variable names should begin with alphabets, which we did in the previous one, or underscore. So, either of the two can work. Second is, I'll show you something. What if I give a space over here? Again, it shows me error. Now, why is that so? So, it's because spaces are not allowed in variable names, right? So spaces are not allowed. Whatever you have to write, you have to make it as a single word and write. So what if you have a variable that consists of two words? Like, for example, you want to write total sales. So your total sales is a data that you would be putting. Maybe your total sales for a day is 25,000. So now again it shows error. So this is really a problem, man. I mean, I'm not giving number in the beginning, still the error is coming. It's because of this space. If I remove it, it works fine. So that's what I mean by spaces are not allowed in variable names. You have to combine them. So either you can write it in this way, or you can just put an underscore in between, whatever you do, but no spaces and no special characters except underscore. So no special characters are allowed except for underscore. So these are the few rules which we have to remember and put the name of the variables. And lastly, always put meaningful names. Put meaningful names, like you are storing the total sales, so name it as total sales. Don't write a b c d x y z. It's a very common practice among students. Try avoiding to write a b c d or x y z as the names of the variables. Okay, just skip it. Just put some meaningful names. That's it. Okay, so we did the very basics about how to declare a variable, something about how we should store the textual data, and we also learned something about the naming conventions. Now, a little bit more in details about the three very important data types. So we would be discussing about data types in more details. When you store the name of the item, so let's say item details equals to biscuits. Okay, I'll just put biscuits because I like taking biscuits. Now, let's say I want to put the price. So, normally a price for biscuits is around 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 50 rupees. It depends. So, I'll just put 30. Now, since price is always in a point value like 30.00, that's how we put it. We don't really write them in whole numbers. Next is quantity. Maybe quantity is 2. So, maybe 2 packets of biscuits I'm going to buy. So here my data, as you can see, I have given three different kind of data over here. The first one is called as a string. The second one with the point value, whenever you put a point value in numbers, it's called as a floating point number. Floating point is simply what we call as decimal in mathematics, and this one is a integer value. Anything that is in whole number without any point, without any fractional part. Let it be a positive number or a negative number. I mean, integer can be -9 or +9, both. Even for floating point, it could be -9.2 or 9.2. So anything fractional, positive or negative should be floating point. Anything whole number but positive or negative should be integer. So this is the data of my items. Now, how to display this to the user? This is the data. This is the code that I have written. How can I display this data to my user? For that, I have to use a print statement. Print. After that, always put the parentheses, like the brackets are called as parentheses. Students often get confused and put an equal to in between, but never do that. We don't put equal to after print, always a pair of brackets. Inside the bracket, you can simply write the items like, just see how I'm going to print it. So firstly, I put double quotes and I'll write name of the product. I'll put a colon. Now see, is this thing I have given inside the double quotes. So this is the text, right? I mean, this is a string that I'm writing. Name of the products is a string, but this time the string I don't have to store it in a variable. It's always not required to store strings in variables because this is what I'm just using for one time, just for a print statement. So in print statements, keep it a note. We always put strings, okay? Like just for providing information to the user. So name of the product. What should I do? Should I put biscuits over here? No. If I put biscuits also, well and good. You can do it, but I'm not going to do it because I'm doing a coding, right? So I have already stored the data biscuits inside a variable called as item underscore details. So I just copied this name and here outside the double quotes, put a comma and put the name of the variable, which is item details. Second print statement would be price. Again, I'll put a colon, a space, a comma outside the double quotes, and then I'll write price, which is the name of the variable. And finally, I would do print quantity, colon, space, comma, and the name of the variable quantity. Now, if I click on this play button, this would execute my code, and you can see now name of the product biscuits, price 30, and quantity 2. So as you can see that my data has been fetched over here from the variables mentioned out here, and it is printed. So that's it. It's a very simple thing. That's how we store different data types in variables, and that's how we just print them, print the values, right? Okay. So that's enough, right? That's enough for the first class. Like whoever is doing the first class of me with me, the first class of Python, just to summarize what we did. Firstly, use collab.research.google.com for your for the codes that you're writing, because you can share the link with me. If you face any problem, you can share it with me, and I'll be very happy to guide you. After that, we learned how we store variable names, how we store the data, what is a string, what is a float, what is a integer, how we print data, how we print some value from the variable, and we also learned about the Python variable naming conventions, right? So in the next class tomorrow, again at midnight, because that's when I uh, get time for this live class. So again tomorrow in midnight, I'm going to do the second class on Python. So do watch it tomorrow at the same time, right? Till then, bye and take care.